Eyes on what's expected to be a big day for Wall Street, with futures already surging out of the gate on news of a trade ceasefire, so to speak, between China and the United States. Trump tweeting this overnight. China has agreed to reduce and remove tariffs on cars coming into China from the U.S. Currently is at 40%, which, by the way, was in response to us putting tariffs and everything else. Here with Outlook is Robert Wolf. He's the former chair and CEO of UBS Americas and founder of 32 Advisors. So, the 90-day pause, you happy?
I am. I know. First of all, as you know, we spoke before. I'm not necessarily pro-tariffs to begin with, but now that we have them, I think a 90-day truce makes a lot of sense. And it wasn't surprising to me because I think going into the holidays, the last thing we need is more market volatility, and you'll see the markets do incredibly well today.
So this is what, and I'm just trying to get ahead of it. It's a 2.5-hour meeting. We don't know exactly what took place. We do know that China agreed to buy unspecified products, amount of products,
soybeans, LNG.
Yeah, from the U.S., but we don't know exactly. They will crack down and relabel fentanyl, which is going to be great if we can get them coming through our southern border. But the thing that bothers me is what China said. China says at the end, we'll work together to reach a consensus on trade issues. They didn't mention intellectual property. They didn't mention the 90 days. They didn't mention any specifics that we mentioned.
Yeah, so we've chatted before on this. The most important thing, as you said, Brian, is intellectual property and patent protection. We have to look at things like economic espionage. We have to take a much tougher track on making sure they're not stealing our intellectual property. With respect to the truce, though, it makes a lot of sense because tariffs really end up being just passed on to the consumer. And also, I think President Trump going from 10 to 25% would have been incredible market volatility going into the holidays. Listen, I think the 90-day truce makes sense, but I would agree with you. China hasn't said it's a 90-day truce. They haven't said how much they're going to be buying. So we really don't know. We know what President Trump said. We haven't heard anything from the Chinese side.
We're trying to reconfigure our trade relationship, not trying to dance around the edges. And in 90 days, we could be right back here. But one thing is, some people have said, we should have brought the EU with us. The EU is just as upset by that. Would have been more powerful to have them with us.
Well, I think the answer is yes, the more the merrier. But really the best thing for President Trump to do is go back into TPP and bring up Trans-Pacific Partnership, because those are the 11 countries that are ex-China that we can do trade with. And the best way to be powerful against China is, first of all, attack intellectual property, but then build the relationships with everyone around them. This is what I would say, not the best policy, but since this is where we are, I'm supportive that this 90-day truce, but I'm not sure it gets anywhere.
I think the TPP would bend to a lot of the protests the president had because they would want us involved. That was a hedge against China to reestablish ourselves in the area. I think the tariffs have worked to exactly what the president wanted. It got them to the table. It got their attention. And the election with them keeping the Senate shows you were not able to hurt him in the farming community. Thanks so much, Robert.
Thank you.